Welcome to the Outdoor Drive Podcast. This is your boy East Coast Trev, and
This is Steve.
what's up, Steve? How are you, buddy?
Oh, hanging in.
It's gorgeous out.
Yeah, finally
What-
got some beautiful weather, being able to get out and about. And
One
the world
week
is still
closer.
full of stupid people, I'm realizing.
No, the world's definitely full of stupid people. There's no end to stupid people. Just stupidity and ignorance. There's no lack of that, no matter what happens in the world.
I just don't understand what happened to the world that was 10 years ago, where entitlement wasn't a thing and common sense was a little more common than it is now. Because,
No, that
God,
went
there
out.
are some dumb people out there.
That went out of the window a long time ago, my friend.
Yeah.
That is done and over with.
Yeah,
Well-
the way today went, it was a good reminder that, yeah, the world is stupid.
But the thing is, just as a positivity, there we're 1 week closer to turkey season. So does it really even matter?
No, because see,
Fuck 'em.
there's like a good buildup. I get frustrated and irritated with all this dumb crap in the daily life, and then turkey season comes around, and I literally get to blow something's head off. It's like the ultimate let out.
It's kind of funny so I've come to the conclusion that yes, I would be blowing heads off of turkeys, but then again, I once again got myself in a predicament where
Say it ain't so.
I have to hunt with a bow for some of the season.
Oh yeah, I'm with you there,
So,
but I'm not gonna lie. The first one's going down with a gun.
oh no, Virginia? Yeah, no, Virginia's going down with a gun.
I'm not even messing around this year. It's starting with a gun, and once the bird's down, then we'll switch.
Yeah. I signed myself up for the bow hunting league turkey competition.
Oh
So
snap!
I got drafted into a team full strut 2021. So I got on their team. There's 15 guys, and so we can. It goes so the longest spur length times that by 2 times that by your beard length, and that's your score. And then there's unlimited upgrades on entries, but you can only enter one per person. And then they do a king of the spur of person with the most grand total. As
Okay,
far as,
so
like, beards
I have a question on that. So with
Yep.
the king of the spur, does this count in all the subspecies?
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. So it's unlimited entries and unlimited states.
Okay,
So it's a
you
person with the most beard and spur length for the season.
okay? Because I was going to say for that king of the spur, you can almost guarantee he's going to go to somebody with an Osceola.
Osceolas have a longer spur?
Oh yeah, it's that
Really?
soft ground down there. It doesn't grind off like these mountain birds up here.
Mm-hmm.
They're smaller bodied, smaller beard, but their spurs. I mean, you can get 2-inch hooks on them all day long.
Really?
Yeah, that's one of the things is their color and their spur length.
So are normally the states that have Osceolas, are you allowed to take more than one?
Well, usually the only state, because that's the only state they're in, is in Florida. So, yeah,
That's what I meant.
you only. My understanding,
Sorry.
don't quote me on this. My understanding is you only get one bird.
One or two.
So, either way, I'll put money that whoever wins that is going to be an Osceola.
So on Kings of Spurs, you can have like for me, I can shoot 5 birds in the state of Connecticut. So all 5 of my birds add up. If
Oh,
I
so
shot them
you
all with a bow,
accumulate.
it's an accumulated thing for
Okay,
King of the
I thought it
Spur.
was like the one single longest.
No, so that's on the team side. So on the team side, so there's 15 of us, and we each get one bird, but we can upgrade it. So like, say that I shoot one with an inch spur, right, and a 13 or let's be realistic, a 10-inch beard.
Bullshit,
And-
you're coming to Virginia. You may get a 13, 14-inch beard.
So, but I have to shoot it with my bow, and that's not going to happen.
Ooh.
So anyways, so if I get one that has 10 inches of beard, 1 inch spurs, and then my next one is 11-inch beard with an inch and an eighth spur, that becomes my bird for the team.
Tracking. Gotcha.
But on the king of the spurs, now my 10-inch beard plus my 11-inch beard plus my 1 inch spur and my 1/8 inch spur. So I'm two and an eighth and then you times
21.
that. Yeah. So then, but it's more than that because you times your longest spur times 2 times that by your beard length, and
Gotcha.
that gives you your score.
Okay.
So it kind of can get kind of crazy. They did it with whitetails and stuff. They do like King of Antler, guys with the most antler inch, and it's just an honor system. It's more fun. They give away a couple different things, and the bow league, it's a pretty cool thing. They
Gotcha.
run it on Go Wild, and I don't know. I saw they said who wants to be part of it and who kills turkeys, and I said me. So I'm in.
I like it. Hell yeah.
Pretty cool. Get to hunt a couple different states and add it to the list and whatever. I really wanted to shoot the gun though, because I was planning on building the 20 gauge. So I
Yeah.
got the 20 gauge with tungsten and
Okay. So I'll tell you what, you bring the bow to Virginia, you carry the bow. If we can get it into bow range, whack it with the bow. If not, I'm taking its head off at range.
I don't know because I had the 20 gauge. I'm like, I'm torn here, Steve. Like I'm okay with it. Like I don't I mean, all right, I gotta shoot one bow out of the whole entire turkey season with the bow, right? Because I at least gotta put
gotta have
one
a
to
bird.
fourth.
Right.
I gotta at least contribute, right? But everything else, dude, I built this 20 gauge over and under to shoot tungsten out of. Why would I not want to use that, right?
Fair enough.
No, I'm just
Well,
together.
I don't know. Yeah,
And
I'm with you there.
and
My
then I got
competitive side says let's try to get you a big bird because we got big beards here. But the other side is I want to see that 20 gauge eat.
I know the 20 gauge is coming to Virginia. I'll kill bird up here with the bow.
Fair enough. You probably got a better chance too. So
and you know the other thing that I threw in the mix, of course, because it's just me and fuck it, we'll take a week off and we'll head up north moose shed hunting. Right.
Yeah.
So we take a
Why
week
not?
out of it.
well, no, you just get a tag in Maine while you're up there because you
So-
know how the birds are in Maine.
Actually, you know what? You're a fart smeller because
I know.
it's because it's funny is because Mark from Nor'easter Game Calls told me, he's like, dude, I don't understand why you don't come up here and turkey hunt with me because we, like, bro, we haven't hunted together in a couple of years. Why don't you come up here turkey hunting? Oh, yep. I smell a divorce, my friend. I smell a divorce. I smell it. I smell it. Smell it.
Can I say just throw your bow on your back while you're out there looking for horns. Throw some calls down ridges and whatever. If you get one to fire up, get the bird and come in with a moose paddle over one shoulder and a bird over the other.
I forgot about this. All right. I'm gonna have to think about this. But speaking of Mark from Nor'easter Game Calls, we got some pretty good news. We've now given away 2 timber tumblers, custom timber tumblers, outdoor drive timber tumblers. So those have now gone and were given away, one on Instagram and one on Facebook. And now our next giveaway is the Ridge Runner from Nor'easter Game Calls by the Outdoor Drive podcast.
So if you're just listening on YouTube, Trev's actually playing with the call. And his mic does an incredible job of killing the sound.
Is it really?
Yeah, dude, it does a great job of. Yeah, it's there, but it's very light.
Oh,
It's a good mic. Still does it.
all right. Well, anyways, so we have the Ridge Runner from Nor'easter Game Calls. So we'll give one of these away, and we're going to give it away on YouTube Live on Sunday. This coming up Sunday, we'll give it up on YouTube Live. And to enter, you will have to follow along on either Instagram or Facebook for the rules for that. But we are giving that away, and it will go live on YouTube. So one lucky person will get the Ridge Runner by Nor'easter Game Calls.
Yep.
Something that Steven kind of came up with Nor'easter Game Calls, man. If you want to explain it a little bit, might as well.
Basic. I'm no salesman here, so.
Well, why don't you describe it anyways?
It's a call that originated on Old Rag Mountain out here in the Blue Ridge Mountains in Virginia. An old timer that put this thing together, made it work. I was handed one of his originals 5 years ago and always carried along because it's just a easy pocket type call. You just throw it in there, and it just has a unique play, a unique sound. So when birds aren't responding to mouth reads or pot calls, that's usually the one I go to first. And it does a pretty good job because it has a little different tone, but it sounds pretty when you play it right. So I took this call, and the guy who made it actually passed away of old age, and I wanted to continue it just because it's a cool little call. So I shipped it up after last turkey season to Mark and said, hey, break this thing down and tell me if you can remake it. So he spent a better part of the summer rebuilding this call. And in partnership with him and in memory of the original call maker, we have the Ridge Runner.
Absolutely, man. So go and check them out, nor'eastergamecalls.com. You can get them over there. They are live and up for sale also, but we will be giving one away this coming up Sunday.
It will be cool. Serial number 003. That's because 000 is going to the widow. I'm taking one and Trev's taking two. So number 3 will be the first one on the market in the serial line.
So, fuck yeah, man. Awesome. And also on there's some turkey pot calls. We have our outdoor series coming out soon. We'll be releasing a little bit about that here before turkey season. So stay tuned for that stuff. Also, go and check out wildedgeinc.com, the leader in mobile hunting. They do have the Berserker and the Battlement on sale right now on their website, wildedgeinc.com. And also Broadside Camo, the photorealism camouflage for the aerial hunter. Wicked Twisted Bowstrings, wickedtwistedbowstrings.com for all your custom bowstring needs. Out on the Limb Manufacturing, Out on the Limb MFG.com for all of your saddle hunting platforms, your hunting camera arms. Hunting camera arms.
Yeah, we'll say arms and equipment.
Yeah, arms and equipment and custom tree stands also. So go check them out. Out on the Limb, MFG.com. Timber Tumblers, timbertumblers.com for all of your custom timber tumblers. That's a tongue twister. There you go. Steven's showing off his. He's got his logo on the back of it. So go and check those out. You guys can get your own personal ones, or there is an outdoor drive one for you for sale also. And last but not least,
I know you know it.
What is it?
It helps you ascend for the aerial hunter.
No, we have that one already. We already said that.
Maybe I don't have it. I told you the way this day's going, dude, I'm not here. Wow.
That's all of them.
Yes.
I was being funny.
Yes.
It was Nor'easter Game Calls. Wild Edge.
It's not, but we can't say.
That's right. Maybe next week?
Yes, it will be out next week. It will be blasted and ran, but for the meantime, we're going to keep you guys guessing.
That's right.
Maybe a new title sponsor.
That's right. Stay tuned. Figured that'd be good for you guys.
You even had me intrigued.
That's it, buddy. That's all of them. And, but, before we get too crazy, should we sit back and take a cruise?
I do believe we should.
All right.
Catch up on the news.
Let me turn that thing up.
Hey everyone, Mike here with some news for your cruise. We're going to kick this one off in Colorado, where finally the punishment fits the crime. Colorado man has now lost his hunting privileges in 48 states that honor the Interstate Wildlife Violators Compact. The only 2 states that don't are Hawaii and Massachusetts. The permanent suspension was decided by the Colorado Parks and Wildlife Commission. The hunter had already pleaded guilty to poaching 12 deer, 2 turkeys, and 1 bighorn ram, and has served 6 months in jail, paid $5,500 in fines, and forfeited all weapons used in the poaching incidents. Now, the hunter does have 35 days to appeal this, but this is a good start, and finally seeing some of these major poaching cases, I'm glad there's finally one that's made the news that really has a just punishment. So on to Alabama, where the Conservation Advisory Board did not approve changes to the 2022 turkey season proposed by the Wildlife and Freshwater Fisheries Division. Instead, they recommended their own changes, which include delaying the season start from March 20th to March 25th, prohibiting the use of decoys and fans for the first 10 days of the season, and decreasing tags from 5 to 4 birds. The board will meet in May to vote on the proposed changes. Off to New Hampshire. Fish and Game Department has posted proposed changes for the 2021-2022 hunting and trapping seasons, which is typically done in New Hampshire every 2 years. Some of the highlights include additional either sex deer hunting opportunities in several wildlife management units, allowing crossbows during archery season in wildlife management units L&M, reducing either sex hunting days in wildlife management units A, B, and C2 to try to get the herds in those areas to recover. And crossbows may be used as a lesser weapon during rifle and muzzleloader season without the need to purchase the crossbow permit, the annual crossbow permit. For bear, proposals include extending the baiting season in several regions by 7 days, and extending the spot and stalk season in the Southeast and Southwest 2 regions by 28 days, and this is due to increasing numbers of bears in those areas. For turkey, permitting 410 and 28 gauge shotguns for taking turkeys, but that's with specific shot restrictions on high density loads. And for moose, decreasing the moose permits to 42 either sex tags across the state. Some general ones, allowing hunters who have already filled their tags to accompany youth hunters and those who have apprentice hunting licenses, and requiring hunters and trappers to provide the department with lower jaws of harvested fishers to be able to collect better data on the populations. 2 remote hearings will be held on the proposals on March 26th at 10 a.m. and March 30th at 6:30 p.m. For the public to provide comments. And written comments can also be submitted on the proposals until April 6th to comments@wildlife.nh.gov. And if you're going to do that, use subject line comments on 2021-22 wildlife rules proposals. Some more changes, this time in North Carolina, where the Wildlife Resource Commission reviewed and accepted 40 changes to wildlife management, inland fisheries, and game lands on February 25th. Highlights of these approvals include Sunday hunting on 45 game lands where it was not previously permitted, making 6 3-day per week game lands now 4-day per week for hunting. For the Sunday hunting, the restrictions regarding firearms and migratory birds are still applicable for these newly open lands. Also allowing remote trap checking for all trappers, creating a new private land wild quail management areas for qualified property owners to enroll into, and combining 2 catch and release classifications for 2 public mountain trout waters for clarity. So some good changes there across the board, and hopefully more to come. Still a lot of legislative stuff rolling out, and try not to bore you guys with all that stuff. So these are some more direct changes that we'll be seeing immediately without the back and forth of all the legislative process. So lastly, another monster record this time in Montana, where on March 3rd, Robbie Doctor landed a 32-pound, 6-ounce brown trout on the Marias River. The fish tops the current record, which has stood since 1966 by a full 3.5 pounds. And he did it on 4-pound test while fishing with his daughter. So congrats to Robbie on an absolutely incredible fish. And with that, As always, if you have any news to send along to me, some people have been reaching out, which is great, and providing feedback too on the segment. It's always welcomed. Reach out to me at Mike Salter on Facebook or bearded_bowhunter21 on Instagram. And with that, enjoy the rest of your ride.
Good call on that, Trev, because again, I spaced that one.
It's all good, dude. It's a rough morning for you. I get it. Or afternoon, evening, nighttime, whenever you're listening to it, it's rough.
Yeah. But we're here, and this is where we're happy since we're in the woods at the moment.
Yeah. And we got a pretty special guest, man. So we're pretty excited about that. The man himself, Mr. Bam Bam. Bam, 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 bam.
Wham, bam. Thank you, ma'am.
That's right.
All right. Well, let's just throw him on.
Let's go.
Good luck.
Nice shot. Here comes a shooter. Shooter. Big buck.
Stag.
All right, we're back on the phone with Bam Bam. What's up, bro? How are you?
What's going on, boys? How are you?
Good. Thanks for joining us here on the Outdoor Drive podcast.
Absolutely. Sorry, I apologize for being late. Kind of my fault, but
it's all good out here in podcast land. Time,
yeah, right.
So
time
do whatever I want.
That's right. It's like being a tattoo artist without being a tattoo artist, right? They just live this own crazy life.
Yeah, I'd say tattoo artists got some pretty crazy lives. My tattoo guy, he's calmed down quite a bit over the years, but man, when we were younger, that guy, those guys are wild. But yeah, I feel that.
Before we go on that tangent, man, why don't you tell everyone who you are, where you're from, and what you do?
Oh man, well, I'm Brian Marshall. Everybody calls me Bam or Bam Bam. It's an old call sign from the Marine Corps. It just stuck. It never went away. I fought it for years, and I just gave up on it, and everybody just called me Bam.
Wait. A Marine gave up on something?
No, well, yeah, I did. Well, the problem was we would be at these expos, and people would come up to the booth. They're like, "Hey, I'm looking for Bam," and I'd be like, "Yeah, I'm Brian. Nice to meet you." And they'd be like, "No, I need Bam," and I'd be like, "Yeah, I'm Brian." You know, like it's a nickname, and they'd be like,
"I feel you."
So after like all years of fighting it, I was like, and people go, "Hey, I'm told to come talk to me." I'm like, "Yeah, what's up, buddy?" And then all my friends called me in, like all my military buddies, everyone called me. So I kind of gave up on it. Anyways, yeah, I live in Meridian, Idaho, which if you follow me on social media, everybody thinks I live in Utah because I tag Utah for everything.
Oh,
so
no shit.
Yeah. So, so I work for Kurtek Outdoor Group, with a camel company, which is an absolute blast. And I have an organization called Wishes for Warriors, where we take out wounded vets that have been wounded, body or mind, and we get them back we started out back into the outdoors, but kind of the previous conversation we were having before this was we've shifted gears on all that now. And so now we're doing retreats, we're doing clinics, we're doing family retreats, we're doing couples retreats. I mean, it's just expanded so much more over the last couple of years. And so it's kind of the cliff note elevator pitch that I throw out on this, because I can go on forever. I just got so much crap on my plate. But yeah, it's kind of just a little bit about me. I started 8 years in the Marine Corps. I did 2 tours overseas, and then I got out and I went contracting for a while in Afghan. And then I did that for a little bit, and probably the worst job I've ever had in my life. And I got fired from that, and that was a blessing. And then the only job I've ever been fired from. And so then I ended up coming back and starting an executive security company for a while. We ended up hiring like almost 200 vets. I think at the end it was like 180 vets that we hired in just a couple of years, and provided a lot of jobs all over the country for that. And then I ended up walking away from that and starting a new life and just moving and getting out. And I wanted a better life for my kids, and kind of ended up where we're at now, and then just kind of living the life now, and just trying to hunt and fish as much as I can and teach my kids everything I know. It's kind of my mission in life now.
Nice. I like it.
Yep. So it's a good time. I really enjoy it. I love where we live, and we have the freedom to go out to one of the most public land acreage out of any of the states. I think besides Alaska, we come in number 2 for most public land. And then, it's just, we hunt our asses off, and my girls love it. I have 2 daughters, and One's 12 and one's 5, and they're about to be 6 and 12, and then one's about to be 13 and 7 here this summer. So I'm gonna have a teenager, which is so weird to me. I was just sitting there like, I'm gonna have a teenager. Like, God, I'm getting old. So yeah, it's been a hell of a ride.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No, I mean it's weird. We just finished a snowboarding clinic last week. We flew a bunch of vets to Salt Lake City, and we had some pros come out to spend a week with them, and it was an absolute success. But I mean, it was that come to Jesus moment for me, because I realized I am not 25 anymore. So I'm still feeling it. Like, I came home on a Friday and I laid I'm talking Saturday and Sunday, I didn't even get off the couch. Like, my body hurt, and it was just, I can't snowboard 3-4 days in a row anymore. I go off for a night run here to the local mountain, and I come back and I feel like I'm beat up for a week. But God, trying to hang with those guys. But I hung in there, but the joints are definitely feeling it at 36. So it's rough. It was brutal. So I might just go and just watch from now on, and just in support from afar. But I don't know if I can do the week-long trips with these guys. I got to start finding some new reps to take these guys out. That's for sure.
Trev, take heed. If he feels like this on the mountains in Idaho, that's kind of what you're going to run into when we're out there in October.
I can only imagine.
Oh, yeah. You guys coming out for deer hunt or what?
Yeah, I'm going to bring him out mid-October-ish. We're going to go a little bit north of Burley. My brother's got a ranch out there.
Yeah.
So we're going to go out there and give him the Western experience, do the whole horseback and take the outfit.
Oh, man, dude. Horseback is so much fun. It's a blast. I love it. There's nothing better than that. Be in the backcountry on a horse. Yeah. Unless you haven't ridden a horse forever. Oh my God, man. Sometimes it's almost better to walk. I did it. A couple of my buddies, we did a backcountry horse trip years ago, and it was like my first time like really spending time on a horse. And of course, this fucking horse this guy's like, yeah, it's a pretty wide horse, but you'll be good. I didn't know what that meant. Dude, we did like 3 days in a row, like 20 miles a day, and I killed 2 deer 2 days in a row, and we're packing out, and we're going straight down. We're hauling ass to try to get back. It's Christmas, or it's Halloween day, and I'm looking at my buddies in front of me, and I swear to God, my hips are coming out, like they're pulling out of the hip.
Saddle sore.
Like, and I'm like holding, I'm just like trying to like adjust and move. And I'm just like, dude, this sucks. Like in my head, I'm like, this is horrible. I'd rather be walking right now. And nobody that knows me has ever heard me say that I would rather walk. And like, I lean forward, I'm like, hey, Steve. And I get the guy's attention. I'm like, you guys, because they just look like they're just riding around, bouncing around. I'm back there and it's like, oh my God. Like I'm in so much pain. Like, this is horrible. Like, this is miserable. Thank God I'm killed out. We're going home. Like, I just got to suffer for like another 8 miles. And I look at them and I call them and they look back. I'm like, are you guys hurt? And my other buddy's like, oh God, dude, I'm about to start walking. I was like, okay, as long as I'm not suffering alone, we're good. Like, I can suffer with other guys all day, but by myself, no way. And it was brutal, but I mean, it was so much fun. I mean, to be able to cover that much ground, to be able to glass off of horseback. I mean, it's a blast. I love it.
I'm watching faces turn green as Trev hears this.
That's it, man. I don't ride horses. I'm a city boy from the East Coast, so I don't ride
yeah, he's getting a lot of first. We're not just putting him on like trail horses and guide horses. He's going out on working, ranching cattle horses.
Good.
High dollar cattle horses.
That'll be fun.
So
where are you out of?
I am in Front Royal, Virginia, so up in the Shenandoah Mountains.
Got it. Okay. Virginia's beautiful, man. I love it out there.
Yeah. Well, what you guys came out here for is not exactly fun.
No.
I don't envy the days I have to go anywhere near Quantico.
Yeah, I dodged Quantico for sure. Like that. I mean, I had a chance to go be an instructor there, and I was just like, absolutely not. I wanted nothing to do. I'm from the East Coast originally. I'm from upstate New York. Yeah.
I'm from Connecticut. So.
Okay. Yeah. I'm from Thousand Islands, like literally on the Canadian border. So real New York. We don't claim the city. I've never even been to New York City, which is so funny being from New York. But yeah, man, it's one of those things. I had a couple, and then I had orders to Lejeune. Like, that's why I got out of the Marine Corps. They actually cut me orders to go to Lejeune, and I was like, fuck, I'm done.
Said.
No way.
Enough said.
And I was literally turned in a re-enlistment package, and they're like, cool, you're re-enlisting. Here's your orders to Lejeune. And I was like, I looked at them, and I was
let me pull it back.
Absolutely not. And I went in and I shredded my file and I got out. I went and did my checkout, and I was like, I'm out. I'm not going to Lejeune.
Nice.
Yeah, that was my deciding factor. It was orders to Lejeune. I was like, nope.
Where were you based at before?
Hamilton,
Yeah.
Del Mar, right on the beach. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
Who goes from Del Mar, literally being stationed on the beach, Del Mar Beach in California for 8 years? They're like, you're going to go to Lejeune with all these hillbillies. And I was like, nah.
Everyone makes fun of the Hollywood Marines, but let's face it, life is much better.
I mean, I'm a Paris Island Marine. I can say that. So join Paris Island. I'll claim I got that title, but hey, after that, I'd rather be stationed in California. I mean, we're on the beach, literally. We're in Sydney, so our job is I work on the beach in California. When we smelt the ocean, I mean, the ocean was right there, 100 yards from us. So it's definitely the best place to be stationed. And once I saw that, and I ended up picking up staff. I picked up E6, and they were real low in Lejeune at the time for staff sergeants. So they were literally shipping
trying to pull billets.
Mm-hmm. They had to fill those billets, and they're like, "Hey, you're next in line." And I was like, "No, I'm not." So
see, that's what you get for having good PFT scores, good rifle scores, and then they go, "Here's an armpit, get in it."
Exactly, man. Exactly. If I would have known, I would have just kind of like been a little bit of a bigger. I was a pretty big turd to begin with, though. That's the crazy part. I mean, I was a good Marine. I was a great Marine, but like when it came to like the politics and being obedient, I was a turd. I skated so hard to get out of work. I would cut corners on everything. But like my team had the highest scores, the highest PFT scores. Our students had the highest scores overall. Like, because I was an instructor at the time, and then I ended up pitting on staff in 6 years, and having my own team. And then that's when I was re-enlisting, and they tried to slip it in. They're like, "Oh yeah, you're going to Lejeune." I was like, "And Lejeune is not for guys like me. Like, we don't last out there. It's like, it's a different world. Lejeune Marines are completely different than Pendleton Marines. I mean, we'd go surfing and breedboarding for lunch, or like grill on the beach, and these dudes are like running 3 miles and stuff. Like, we do not do that. Or at least used to. I don't know if things have changed. Like, it's night and day. It's so much more chill on Pendleton. And we get these Lejeune Marines that would transfer out to us, and they'd come screaming and all high and tight and moto and perfect everything. We're like, bro, you got to chill. Like, just chill, dude. Like, take that, simmer down. We don't work that way around here. This is an easy post for us. We're all instructors. Just we don't got to try to reinvent the wheel. Just shut up and do your instructing. That's what it was. It was weird sometimes. So
I know right now there's a buddy of ours that's sitting and watching this, and Gunny, you know who you are. You're probably sitting and cringing right now, going, "Damn West Coasters."
Oh, yeah. And I had buddies that were West Coast Marines, and they'd go out to Lejeune, and I mean, dude, they were the most squared away best Marines. I'm talking meritorious promotion. I mean, they would go for all these boards, and I was just like, fuck it. I'm just here for a paycheck, right? I just looked at the Marine Corps. It was a 9-to-5 job for me. And I mean, obviously I joined to deploy, but once the war was over and we were all done, I mean, it was just literally, okay, this is my job. I planned on careering. I wanted to do 20 years, and then obviously things changed. And God, dude, I had buddies like, "Oh, I got orders in June. I'm going to Quantico, or I'm going here." And dude, they would, within a year or two, all either NJP or non-rect or something, just because and these were squared away guys. I mean, guys that would run laps around me, circles around me. And so I'd see that and be like, God, I wouldn't last. It was always a joke. They'd be like, Jesus, man, like, you'd never last a minute in Lejeune. I'm like, yeah, fuck that place. Like, I'm never going there. And then all of a sudden I get orders and I'm like, oh, I'm done. Like,
I'm out.
My career's over if I go out there, because I'm going to tell somebody to piss off real quick. I had a mouth on me. I was pretty belligerent when I was in. Like, not like I was in a bad way, but like I spoke my opinion, and it's like, I don't care if it's a military or not. And then, the old military saying, well, if you don't like it, pick up rank. And then I finally picked up E6, and I was like, oh, no. Things are changing now. Nothing changes. They're like, oh, you don't like it, pick up gunny. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, that doesn't make any sense. I just picked up staff sergeant. I got to pick up gunny. And so, yeah, I got those orders, and I was like, oh, I'm out. Like, I'm out. Time for me.
I don't blame you.
Yeah, so I ended up getting out and going straight back to Afghan and contracting over there for a while, which was horrible. One of the worst jobs I've ever had in my life. But yeah, it was an interesting time.
That's the one job I'm glad I decided not to take.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to. It sounded cool. The money sounds cool. Going back and doing it as an operator sounds cool.
Yeah.
It's not that cool.
It's really not, man. I mean, the GWAT money isn't there anymore. Yeah, you're getting paid, I don't know, $700-800 a day, whatever, right? Obviously some contracts are more, some are less, but yeah, it's just the living conditions were horrible. We were living with these Gurkhas, the Nepalese warriors from that, I don't know if anybody knows the history of the Gurkhas, just Google it. Anyways, so we get told we have these warriors that are coming from Nepal, and these are like hand picked by the prince. It was this whole story we were told. We're like, cool, we're gonna get some badass dudes that we're gonna be working with. Dude, we get there. These motherfuckers are like farmers that they happen to be from Nepal and the Gurkha. And apparently there's different levels and tiers of Gurkhas. And we got like the C team, right? So these dudes, oh my God, it was a shit show, bro. Like we're trying to like, the company that had the contract lost the contract and we were taking over. So we literally are like building all new bases. We're like trying to like stand up this new company. We're the first guys there. And dude, it's a nightmare. I mean, these guys, they're jerking off everywhere. I've never seen so many dudes. No, I'm not even kidding, bro. It was horrible.
I know what you mean. That's why I'm laughing.
There's shower babies everywhere. I mean, you had to like wash everything down because we were sharing bathrooms with some of these guys. I got lucky enough when we were living in these villas and had our own, like these mansions that had our own rooms. But for the most of the guys that were living in like these big can cities and they had like squad bay type bathrooms, you know, with 50 sinks and 50 showers in them, where we had to share them with the Gurkhas. And oh my God, man. And then these dudes would just blow their snot everywhere. So you go to like brush your teeth at night, you just got off shift at 18 hours. You just want a hot shower and like brush your teeth, go to bed, and you're like dodging shower babies, green snot rockets all over the sinks. You're just like, fuck, dude, it was horrible working with those guys. We all had dysentery. I had dysentery for a month. I lost 30 pounds in like 15 days. It was horrible, bro. Horrible. And then, yeah, it was a pretty bad. I still have some buddies, and this was 2012, 2013, and I still have buddies that are working over there, and they're just like, they hate it to this day, but they're stacking money, you know, single guys. It's definitely not for the married guy, you know, like the rotations. It could be pretty rough, but yeah, it's contracting is definitely not what, I mean, who knows? It's going to probably pick back up now. We got dipshit in office, and I'm sure we'll get some contracts going pretty soon. So I've been keeping my eye.
We're already dropping them on our end again. So here we go.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll get some new contracting money. If that's the case, I might jump back on one if the money's right. So I don't know. I mean, those $1,500 a day paychecks and making $1,500 a day, those days don't suck, you know. But I mean, they just kind of piddled out because everybody got out of the military. There was a big push for it, and so there's so many contractors, and they're just like, "Oh, we'll just give you $500 a day," and they're like, "Okay, just take it." I'm like, "No, I'm out."
Yeah. Crazy.
So what made you start the Wishes for Warriors?
Honestly, man, I mean, it's just, I had a couple of buddies that had gotten hit and went through some pretty dark spots, and I helped them out. And a couple of my buddies and I, we kind of came together and teamed up and flew out to a couple of buddies' houses, and pretty much were just the complete opposite. I didn't know. I was just a Marine, right? And we had some buddies, and looking back at it now, it was a complete shit show. Like we went, I had a buddy's mom call me, and you know, he was in a pretty dark spot, and she thought he was going to kill himself. And so we flew out, three of my buddies, and we took this to the strip clubs and just got him fucked up. And it was a shit show, like everything you should not do. But this is before my organization. You realize, listen, this is way before Wishes, right?
This was a bunch of Marines getting together.
Yeah, we're just
taking care of each other, right?
Yeah, right. And so just doing what we know, just to get fucked up and try to hook up with chicks and go to strip clubs. And in Pennsylvania, you could bring your own cooler in. So it's BYOB at some of these strip clubs. Like, so we're walking with those giant, like Walmart coolers, like the 5-footers, you know, like full of just like Yingling. And it was a disaster. But anyways, the guy ends up making like a full recovery. It re-sparked that fire in him. And so I kind of always knew. And then I ended up losing my best friend in Iraq. And I always had that, like, man, I just want to get back feel. But, you know, being in the Marine Corps or contract, you just don't have time for anything. Like, you're owned, you know, like it's not your time. And so once I was done with everything and transitioned to the civilian world, I had a really good job at the time, started a company, and things were going really good. So I had a lot of free time. And so I was sitting on a mountain in Cali one day where I was up in Northern California, and I was hunting pigs with a buddy. And I'm like, when I say hunting pigs, like, this isn't like Texas hunting. This is like mountain hunting. I mean, you are hiking your ass off to try to kill a freaking pig.
You're talking like up towards Monument Valley, Bishop, Twin Lakes.
This was in Hollister, outside of Hollister.
Okay.
My buddy had a big ranch out there, and it was unreal. I mean, dude, you're talking mountains. And so, you know, I'm sitting there one day and I'm like, God, like, how do I get vets here? Like, it'd be awesome to bring some guys up here. And he's like, Dan, you get them here. We'll get them on pigs or deer or whatever. I was like, all right. He's like, just get them up here. So I had like an 11-hour drive home or 10-hour drive home. And the whole time I'm like, God, like, how do I get these guys? And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to start a little something, raise a little bit of money, take out 4 or 5 guys a year. Like, that was my initial goal with it, was 4 or 5 guys. Cool. I'm doing my part. It'll make me feel good. I get to get some guys out. Yeah, that lasted like 6 months. I mean, we hit that immediately. And then the ball started rolling with us, and sponsors and support. And then we just had all this growth on social, and it was now everybody knew who we were. And so it took off and went a lot bigger than what I expected or what I wanted it to. Like, it was never my goal to be to where we are today. And so it's tough. You know, I just went from being a Marine and, you know, a dad and just living my own life to now it's like, okay, I'm running an organization. Holy shit. Like, how do I do this? You know, and we've made a lot of mistakes along the way, but you learn from them, you know, and just doing it. And so now it's like, we have programs for couples. We have programs for kids that have lost loved ones overseas. We have retreats, we have seminars, we do hunting retreats. I mean, you name it, we're doing it now for these guys. And it's just, we've evolved over the years. And so we started out strictly hunting like that. Obviously that's my passion. And that's what I wanted to get these guys back out, kind of how we were talking about earlier with, you know, going to Walter Reed and seeing these guys laying in beds and being like, hey, let's go. You know, like, I was taking guys out that were literally just left Walter Reed where their stitches weren't even like healed up yet. These guys are running, we're chasing pigs and deer, like, they're bleeding. It was a shit show, right? But I mean, these guys wanted to go, and how do you say no to it? And so, you know, now that the time of pulling guys out of their beds or out of, you know, the little dark spots of just coming back from war and it being really fresh, those days have kind of faded away a little bit, which is great. Like, I am so glad we're past that phase. But then once the phase passes, you go to a new chapter. And so it's like, now things are changing. So instead of us pulling guys off, now it's like, hey, I'm ready for the next hunt. Hey, I want to do this. I want to do this. So what we started doing was more doing clinics. And so it's more of a camaraderie thing now. And so, like, we just finished up a big snowboarding clinic, you know, in Salt Lake City last week. I flew in 11 guys. We rented this giant house for Airbnb, which is, I mean, the people hooked us up. It was dirt cheap, pretty much gave it to us. The resorts hooked us up with all of the tickets. And these guys, they just had the time of their life. You know, we had this pro come out and spend every day with them, teaching them everything and teaching them how to do tricks and how to take off, you know, hit a jump right. And it was just awesome, you know. And so before, though, I was like, hey, we want to do individual hunts. We could spend time with these guys, which is what we needed. You know, when you're pulling those guys out of their basement or out of their dark room or out of a hospital bed, they needed the one-on-one interaction. Like, that was so crucial for these guys. And they just needed to know that they had a foundation or a brother, right? So now that they've gone through most of the healing process, now what they're looking for is the camaraderie. They need the brotherhood. They want friends. And so just these simple events, a snowboarding trip, you know, it's so great for these guys because now they're coming from all over the country. They're under one roof. Like, we used to, you know, we'd all get a hotel room. Well, there's no bonding. There's no talk. There's no bullshit. Like, after the event's over, everybody just goes back to their room and goes to bed for the night. Now that we're staying in like a camp or Airbnb, like, everybody's contributing. Like, everybody will pick meals every night. We'll go and buy all the food as a staff. And then, like, guys will be like, oh, I want to do chicken one night, or I'll do the steaks. And so, you know, then they're all just talking crap, Army versus Marines. And unfortunately, sometimes we get like an Air Force or, like, you know,
on occasion, some semen is spilled.
We'll get some semen in the house. And those guys just get it from every end. No, you know,
well, literally. That's why they're semen.
And so, you know, it's just one of those things. And so now it's grown into, we fund homeless vets every year, work with companies to clothe them and get them food. And it's just grown so much, and it's awesome. Like, it's tough. I mean, running an organization is a complete nightmare, to be honest with you, from a founder, president roles, because we're not trying to get to that big level where we have big corporate money or strings attached and things like that. We're trying to keep, I mean, I'm sitting in my office. This is Wish Forward's headquarters. This is in my house, right? We don't have an office. We don't rent spaces. We try to keep our costs to an absolute minimum as much as we can. And it's a lot, you know, especially doing it just to do it. You know, some guys we're bringing guys on that actually going to be finally paid positions. But I mean, all these years, everything that's gone to the program has gone straight back into it. And so it's really hard to do that and to try to grow to a level and figure out the checks and balances of how to raise money, but also save as much money and save costs on things. So There's a lot. Like I get up a lot about, hey man, I'm thinking about starting an organization. My response to everybody is don't. Like, find an organization that you love and support it. Volunteer, do that for a year and tell me if that passion's still there, because it's, we go through so many volunteers and so many guys that want to jump on board, and they realize like this isn't easy. Like we get phone calls at 4 a.m, some guy that's on the edge, and it's like you can't just ignore it. You have to take their call, and then you're up for 2-3 hours all night, and then you hang up with them and you got to go to fucking work in the morning. So it's not easy, and you've been up for the last 4 or 5 hours dealing with some guy that is struggling or going through some hard times, which it's worth it. Like if that's what's going to help this guy is me being on the phone with them, we do it. And so it's just, there's a lot that goes into having an organization, but it's worth it. When you see these guys, like the last week's trip, the two of my reps, the only reason I really went on that trip was because I have 2 new reps that were kind of training, and they're taking over they're building this program themselves. And so I kind of wanted to go and mentor it and just see how things are flowing and things like that. And it was great. Like obviously there's a lot of learning that has to go into it. There's a lot to go, but these were guys that were part of the program 7 years ago.
Yep.
The one guy took to Mexico and another guy took on a turkey hunt, and they've gone through the program. Now they are the program. And so it's really cool from my point to see these guys make a complete circle, from going from, a dark place or just wanting to figure out life after losing a leg. And we helped them out, like I said, 7 years ago, and now they're running their own program. So, it's really cool. And that's when it's rewarding to me, is when you can see the healing process, and now they're giving back to the veteran community. So from a founder or president of an organization, like that's the biggest reward to me right now, is watching these vets that I helped years ago. Now they're part of the program, and now they're doing it. So I'm kind of stepping back and letting these guys grow their programs, and it's awesome. Like I have a 9-to-5 job. And so it's like, I took a few years off, and it was awesome. I was able to really grow the organization, but now that I'm back, and living the domesticated life in an office, it's good to see these guys taking over and running with it, and they're killing it, man. They're so motivated, and it's just awesome to be able to see the joy that it's giving to them, that they're able to help the veteran community now. Instead of being the veteran community that needs help, they're able to provide it. So it's pretty good. It's pretty rewarding for me.
Yeah. I can definitely relate. Went through the same path myself. Like I said, beforehand, came back from the war, was kind of in a dark hole, and got hooked up with some really good folks. Took me out on my first turkey hunt as well.
That's good.
Did it for a few, I think I did 5 or 6 hunts with them. And, I grew up out west in Arizona, hunting elk, mule deer, doing the whole shebang, but I didn't know anything about the East Coast. So once they got my feet grounded, I was capable of going out and doing it myself, but I wanted to return the favor. So I started guiding a hunt every year for the program up here in the Shenandoah.
That's good, man. That's awesome.
And I really quickly ran into all of those pitfalls and things you were talking about. You start seeing the internal workings and, the pool of applicants going from, fresh injuries and needing this now to needing that camaraderie. Because let's face it, nothing's better than getting a pile of vets in a room and watching the chaos fly.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So seeing that whole transition, man, I completely get it. And it's needed. It's something that, we look back on the Vietnam era guys, they didn't get this. So I think this is one thing we've done right, is creating these groups where we can take people, give our passion for the outdoors, and help them reconnect, teach them to go out and do this themselves. They now feel accomplished because they can go do this. And they may bring someone else on and help them out down the road.
Absolutely.
We'll say it's a butterfly effect. It's just going to spread.
It really is, man. It's a trickle effect. And a lot of these guys, they leave super motivated. We have a couple of guys that just left this trip, and they reached out and they're like, hey, if I could ever be involved, let us know. And I'm like, you don't want to be involved.
Just enjoy it.
Just enjoy it while you can, And so, but yeah, I mean, it's really rewarding. And that's all it takes. And the craziest part that I learned in the beginning, I would go like, man, we need this elk hunt, we need this trophy deer, we want to kill the biggest things possible, right? And I learned really quick that it doesn't even matter about the animal. And if it does, the vet's in it for the wrong reason. He doesn't need the help, right? And so then it became like, man, I don't need that hunt that's going to cost me this. I can go and take 5 guys on a turkey hunt for a quarter of the price, and they're going to have more memories, more laughter, a camaraderie, friends built from a fucking turkey hunt. That it's a turkey, right? Like, granted, it's probably on some people's bucket list, but like, doesn't take much to kill a bird. And so it's like, send these guys, let them have the time of their life. And so that's kind of where we've evolved. And then we did a poll this year of guys like, on social media. We're like, hey, what do you want? What if you could learn one thing in 2021? What would it be? And it came back: fly fishing, how to tie fly rod or flies, and it was like learning how to hunt. And so it kind of hit me. It's like, in the beginning days when we were doing the one-on-one stuff, we would get these guys sponsored by either Cryptek or, Under Armour. We'd try to get them, binos and all this stuff. And then the guy would take them on a trip. But then, I guide,
right,
deer hunts outside of my normal job. So, I'm used to taking care of clients. Like, as soon as deer and elk's on the ground, it's work time, right? Like, that's my favorite part. I love skinning. I love pouring. I love packing stuff out. Like, that's what, like, my favorite part is like taking care and processing the animal. And so this year, it's like one of our biggest things was so many vets are like, I want to learn how to hunt. And so right now what we're looking to do is we're putting together all these seminars for next fall. They might just be doe tags or cow elk tags, but we're going to take, like, it's going to be a hunting 101 program. So we've never really done big groups on hunting trips just because it's a lot to be able to
it's hard
monitor.
to do.
It's a lot, especially when you're trying to produce an animal. It's hard to kill one decent animal in a week, let alone 5, 6, or 7, unless you're in Texas. And so then you can just kill whatever as much as you want. But so what we're looking to do right now is we're trying to find a couple of ranches just for doe and cow elk tags, and to take these vets out and be like, okay, like, this is how you spot and stock. This is how I would set up. This will wait, like, just literally the basics, the fundamentals of a guy that's never done this in his life. Taking the shot, and then the work begins. How to quarter it, how to even position an animal on the ground once it's on the ground. Like, I've watched guys that I looked up to in the hunting world, and I finally get to go hunt with them, and I'm like, what the fuck is this guy doing? Like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. Like, why would you do it this way? But then you don't really want to say anything because I feel like the guy's so much more like an expert than I am. And then I'm like looking like,
look, you can look as good as you want on film all day and fake it. But when it's time to put up, you better put up or shut up.
Dude, I've taken these hunters, these pro hunters and huntresses, them and their husbands, and kill stuff with them. And they stand there and look at you like you got a dick stuck to your forehead because they have no idea what they're doing. And I'm just like, your whole social media is built around hunting, and you don't even know how to, like,
because they pay for a guide everywhere they go.
Yep.
I took a couple and some kids out, and they came along, and these people are supposed to be expert hunters. I started quartering. They're like, oh, are you going to gut? I'm like, no, why would we gut this? It's public land. Like, we're packing it. I'm like, no, we're not going to gut this.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean you're not going to gut it? I'm like,
it's the gutless method.
Like, we're going to go gutless. We're like, what do you mean? I'm like, what do you mean? Like, do you not? And like, I was confused. I'm like, these are Instagram hunters, right? And I'm like, what? I'm like, they're like, yeah, we got to gut it. And I'm like, we're not gutting these deer. Like, I don't gut anything if I don't have to. And I'm like, no, we're not. And so I had to show these people while I'm trying to teach these kids on a youth hunt of how to, like, do a gutlet. And they didn't even know how to, like, properly skin. It was just a nightmare. So I was like, man, if these fake Instagram celebrity hunters don't even know a gut, I'm like, there's vets that, if you just didn't grow up in that world, they don't know. And how do you start? So that's I'm really excited for that program next year. I'm hoping we can lock on some places so we can just take these guys out. And it's literally like, hey, I'm going to be standing over your shoulder. Like, this is how you do it. And we're going to teach them how to gut. We'll teach them how to quarter, how to debone, how to pack a pack, like, just the process, because I want these guys to go home and I want them to do it. Like, go, I'm one of those guys. Like, I don't know. Like, when I moved here, I had no idea on West. Well, I Western hunted, but I wasn't big into it. I was an East Coast hunter. I grew up hunting waterfowl. We were hunting big water, whitetail, and turkey. And so I come out to here, and it's out west, and it's like, holy shit! Like I got to climb this mountain. I got to find water. I got to find a water source because I'm going to be out here for a week. Like I got to pack the right food. There's so much, and I'm the kind of guy like I'm going to learn it because I'm going to get wet. I'm going to be starving. I'm not going to have the proper gear, and then that's how you learn. But I want to be able to show these vets and give them the right platform. Be like, go, and we're here for mentors. You got any questions? Like, have at it. But at least they have the knives. They know how to skin. They could go home with the concept, right? And it's like it's not hard. It's just doing it.
Yeah, when you have that foundation, you can go out and start doing it, perfecting it your way.
Yep, absolutely.
And that's it.
And we're really excited. So those are programs. Those are our next clinics, our hunting clinics. So it'll be a good group of guys, and they go up, and then they get to bring food home, and they get to provide for their families, and they feel accomplished. Like my wife hates it because it's nonstop, she says. But every time I leave, I'm bringing something home, and like my daughters are standing with me, and we're processing it, and we're vacuum sealing it, or we're canning it. Like there's so much that goes into it. Like that's my favorite part. I love killing things. Like don't get me wrong. But the process afterward, I really enjoy, and I enjoy it more and more every year because then I get to see it. And like we're trying new recipes, we're trying new ways to preserve stuff, and so it's all. And I want to teach this to as many guys as I can. Like I don't want to be some big platform where they have to watch or subscribe. I want to be able to take them and put their hands up inside of a deer. Or try to roll this cow elk over by yourself. Okay, this is how I would do it. Like we're on a pretty steep slope. We need to tie it off. Or just little things like that I've learned by moving an animal and watching it roll to the bottom of a canyon. You're just like, fuck. Like, whoops. Okay, next time I will have mule tail all the time. Just so those are the things that we're looking to do with these guys. And it's fun. We've made a lot of changes and shifts in the program, going from one-on-one, just strictly hunting. Now we're doing clinics all over the country for everything. We have fly fishing clinics lined up this year. We got downhill mountain biking clinics for this year. It's cool, man. I'm really, it's fun. Like that's when I get to really enjoy things, is seeing these vets learning. I want to watch these guys learn. I want to be able to watch them go home. Then they're tagging us on social media, out sitting in the blind with everything they learn. Like that's what means the most to me.
Nice. And it's definitely
that was a long tangent, but
no, it was perfect.
It's good, man.
Yeah.
No, but it's good. It's definitely going to put them in a perspective to be able to do that for a long time and not just do it one time. Where I've heard stories from Steven and stuff, and guys will repeat come because they haven't really, they want you to hunt with them, but at least they're able to go out there and hunt and keep continually doing it, and then I think that's more of a way of saving some of those veterans that come home.
Absolutely. And hunting is, I feel like it's intimidating these days. You look on social media and it's like these guys just killing giant shit, and then it's such a competitive shit talking world that, and everybody's guilty of it. I mean, we make fun of all the Utards so much because they just kill every young fork. But besides that, it's intimidating. Like these guys are out there. And I mean, I look up to some of these guys and I'm just like, what? Like I ask questions. I just don't care. I don't care what anybody thinks. So I'll be like, hey, what are you running for this system? Or, hey, what's your tent system? But I get people like, hey, man, I'm so sorry for asking, but I just don't know. And I'm like, don't be sorry. Just ask. But there's so many of these like influencers and hunting celebrities that I don't reach out to people and they won't even respond to me. And I'm just like, man, like I'm just trying to, like, I'm not trying to figure out where you hunt. I just want like a tip or advice on these things. And so I feel that vets, they have no idea where to start. Like, where do they even ask? Well, it's kind of, and I've had guys like, man, like, I wish I had guys on trips with me. And they're like, man, I wish I would just ask you years ago. I'm like, why didn't you? Like, oh, I just didn't know. And it's kind of intimidating. I'm like, so I want to kind of get rid of that and be like, here's your questions. It's these classes would literally be for hunters 101, guys that have never hunted before, or maybe did a waterfowl, but they just don't, or they've gone and never killed anything. And so that's where I want to get rid of that. So these guys are confident. Maybe they can go home and teach a couple other vets. And then it's that trickle, the butterfly effect, it just starts trickling. And before you know it, who knows, we could have a really awesome program where these guys that I take out, they're a beginner and maybe they might be running a program in a year or two. So that's kind of really what I'm looking forward to.
No, I agree with that. And I think it's a great thing because I think social media has kind of turned it to where, even new hunters, even not a veteran, but they go into it and then they see everybody
Trav's
killing.
Favorite topic, by the way.
It is. I love this topic. But anyway, so they go in and they they shoot that big buck or whatever, but they're not teaching people how to actually do something. And then that newer hunter, whether veteran or not, goes in to ask a question and they just get straight up ridiculed one way down the other, and they just feel like a piece of shit. And then they're going to be turned off from this sport. They really are.
They really are, and it's unfortunate because now it's instead of hunting just being awesome and providing. And I've grown a lot over the last couple of years, especially with my daughters. They've humbled me big time. Like I was that guy. Like, look at this idiot killed a 2-year-old mule deer. Like, what the fuck is your like? But these are guys that are like consistently every year killing little young bucks, and then they bitch about not having deer numbers. But like, that's ruined it for the beginners, right? Because now the beginners feel that they got to go out and kill a fucking 190 buck. It's like, dude, who cares? Go out. Kill it for 2-3 years, kill in the first thing you see, just kill it, right? Like, don't hold out, don't pass, just have fun. Just go out and enjoy it. Enjoy the outdoors. You shoot a doe, be proud of that shit. You know, it's like, especially with your first couple seasons, just enjoy it. And then once you have that basis and you learn, you're like, okay, I really screwed up that stock that one time. I'm going to change this, or man, my SAM is wrong for this type of wind. I got to. It's just learning, right? Mm-hmm. And then you say, okay, well, I shot the way that I've taught my daughters, like, okay, like you shoot your first animal. Guess what? Next year it's going to be bigger, equal to or bigger. Everything, bears, deer. You name it, it's equal to or bigger. We never shoot anything on. And so my daughter this year, I mean, she passed 20 bears. And so that was on her. I was trusting. After like the 5th bear, I was like, fucking shoot that bear. Like I'm over the season. It was the longest season of bear hunting ever because she was past. I was like, okay, that's it. She's like, is that a mature bear? I was like, it's not. And she's like, I'm good. And I'm like, you're fine not killing anything the whole season if you want a mature bear. She's like, yeah, I'm fine with it. She ended up hammering a really good boar, but it's one of those things. Like I want her to. The bar should be set. You don't need to come out and hit the grand slam. Shoot 2 or 3 does a couple of years in a row. Then okay, I'm gonna just go for a buck. Okay, I shot a fork last year. I'm gonna do something a little bit bigger. You know, then gradually grow into it. But now it's just like, 200-inch muley, 400-inch bull, and that's all you see. Yeah, people like killing big shit, and that's awesome. But like those guys never go back and talk about their first animal, or it took them 15 years. It took them 15 years to get to a point where they know where these muleys are living in the summertime, and they're putting trail cams 30 miles back in these basins that you can never get to, and they're tracking. I mean, these guys are putting in so much, but they just think that this 200-inch deer just popped up out of nowhere. Sometimes, yes, and people get lucky, but they don't realize what it took. That guy didn't just start out killing giants. He probably killed, a couple of forks and some does and things like that. And then look at him now. He's years down the road. I mean, everybody needs to go through that stage. And it's like, I talked to some of these vets like, I've been hunting 3 years. I haven't killed anything. I'm like, why? They're like, well, I don't know. I just haven't seen anything big enough. I'm like, what is big enough? Like,
well, you haven't killed anything in 3 years. What do you mean?
Exactly. It goes back to that basic statement. How do you get good at killing deer? You kill deer.
Killing deer.
Just kill deer.
Especially archery, man.
Killing shit like this.
Yes.
I love it.
Yeah, I see it hiding back there in the corner. Yep.
Right? Yeah. Like, oh, fuck, it's falling apart. But, dude, I mean, kill it.
Yeah.
Kill it. Having fun. Shoot it. Enjoy it. Enjoy the hunt. Go out with your kids. Like, it's one of those things. And I feel that social media has really killed that for people. It's not fun, and there's times where I go on hunts and I'm just like, I want to produce content, or I feel like I have to kill something, and I'll pass on animals and I pass on things. And I'm just like, why the fuck did I pass on that? Like, I would have shot that all day. Like, and then I see something and I'm just like, fuck it. Pink. And I'm known for that. Like when I go hunting with my buddies, like, they're like, give me your ammo, give me your mag, like, give me your quiver, give me your release. Like, cause I shoot the first thing that comes in. That's why I've never killed a big bull. Spike, little rag, you come running in. I'm like, you're dead. Like, I shoot them because it's fun to me. Like, I enjoy it. Mm-hmm. One of these days I'm going to hold out and actually kill a big bull, but I love it. I'm with buddies and we're laughing and we're joking. We're having the time of our life. Bull comes running. I don't give a shit. That's meat in my freezer. Yes. Like if I have 2 or 3 tags in my pocket and I got a couple states to hunt, yeah, the first bull comes in, they're dead every time. But as the season goes, I might start holding on for if I know it's a big bull unit. I've hunted a couple of years and seen giants and they're cool. Yeah. But I know I'm happy going home with nothing at that point. But I've already killed a bull or 2. There might be little rags, but I don't care. I enjoy it. So
you got the meat.
it's just one of those things. And I try to tell guys, I'm like, God, who gives a shit about social media? Just go have fun. Go have fun. That's it. That's all you need to worry about, learning and having fun. That's it.
I love it, man.
Yeah.
Well, I do got one last question before we wrap this thing up, and that is, what drives you outdoors?
What drives me outdoors?
What drives you outdoors?
Now it's my kids, man. I'm focusing on my oldest this year. Like, honestly, it used to be me. I love the noises, the smells, the rivers, the misery, freezing, being wet, being hot. Like, it's just all stories to me. Like, I love adventure. And then the last couple of years of watching my oldest go from this little house mouse, when I was stationed in California, and she wasn't, I'd move and go on my trips, and she was just, young, whatever. And then moving and getting her into this little city kid. And now I would put my 12-year-old against any guy on the mountain. Like, when she'll out hike me, she knows, she goes in, she knows how to set her rifle up. She's got her tripod. She'll be all like, it's awesome. And so, like, now it's completely shifted. Like, I've been working with Hunt and Fool to put her in, because they know all these kids, these youth tags. There's so many youth tags for all these states. And so, like, I'm so excited this year. She's already drawn a black bear Oregon tag. She's got a Utah turkey. She's got a Utah or an Oregon turkey tag just for spring alone. And so now all these states are starting to open up for draws. And it's just like, man, that's honestly what drives me to be in the outdoors, is my kids, and just showing them everything from dried moose poop to use it as kindling to, looking and following tracks, or what to look for, where to step, where not to step, and just going and checking trail cams and having a mountain lion walk by your trail cam. Your kids are like, oh my God, there was a mountain lion standing here. It's like, so that's the stuff that honestly drives me to do more. And so I told the wife this year, I was like, hey, I'm really going to focus on Christy, my oldest, for the next few years, and just try to get her as many hunts and kill some awesome animals, and just enjoy it. She started out, she's killed a good whitetail and killed a public land muley, and she's killed a couple of bears. And so she's off to a good start. You little shithead. I didn't have any of that under my belt at that age.
I'm a little jealous.
Yeah. So she's a killer. And then my youngest is just begging. You're like, is it my turn yet? Like, you got a couple more years, kid. Like, I'm sorry, but she comes along. Like, she's just a little stud too. So, having two daughters, my goal is to raise them so other girls can look up to them, because now it's few and far between of these huntresses and these little hunt bunnies. It's disgusting to me. Like, I look at it, and there's probably 5 women on social media that I can name off that I would let my daughters follow. And for the most part, it's just tits and ass and trying to sell stupid teeth whitening. And it's completely ruined any image of female hunters. And like before, I could care less. And now having daughters, I'm just like, it's just kind of a joke. And so that's honestly like my motivation. That's my drive, is to get my girls. Like, I want people to be able to look up to my kids one day and be like, those girls are fucking studs. Like, they don't sell their body. They don't have to sell their image. They just go out and they enjoy it, and they kill shit, and then they have a good time doing it. So that's honestly what drives me. Mm-hmm. I just want killers, man.
Yeah.
That's all I want. I just want killers.
There is actually, they're starting to come out of the woodwork. A lot of like savage women that are straight killers. You have to weed through the bullshit, obviously, but there is some of them that you're like, what the fuck? Are you kidding me?
And they're always they're not out there promoting their shit. They're just doing it, and people are following.
I remember it was 2 years ago. I was at the Harrisburg show in Pennsylvania, and I was interviewing Caitlin Moss. I don't know if you know who she is, but I was interviewing her, and she started telling her story about killing whitetails. And I was kind of skeptical, it was a friend of a friend. And I was like, huntress, right? She starts telling her story. My jaw was on the floor, bro. I had to like pick it up, because she knew more about whitetail hunting than I did. And I was like,
yeah, Caitlin's a beast.
I was like, what the fuck? And it was just so cool to hear that there's actually badass women out there that are up and coming, that are actual killers.
And it's good. And I think because of just the flood of all these just huntresses, it really pissed off a lot of the killers, the women that are killers. And they're like, fuck that bitch. Like, I kill more shit than one whitetail on a high fence in Texas every year, and then this girl gets shouted out by Hoyt and all this other crap. And it's like, you got these girls that are out here grinding in the backcountry, packing their own mules, going and setting up elk camps. Like, there's a couple chicks in Montana I know, and I wouldn't even hunt with them because they would destroy me on the mountain. Like, I wouldn't even bother with it. And it's like that, but I'm like, okay, like, how do I get my girls to that point? Like, I want them to be able to load the horses up, and just go. Obviously, when they're old enough that I can trust and they've been taught, but like, I don't want to have a boyfriend or a husband have to teach my daughters. I want them teaching everything.
That's right.
And so my oldest right now could hold a seminar on how to fucking bear hunt, bear bait. Like, she's got it dialed, because I tell her every year, I'm like, hey, you want to kill a bear this year? Yeah, I do. Good. Well, you're packing bait. Like, nobody hunts for free. So I'm including my 6-year-old, and she's been doing this since she was like 3. Like, all right, here's your little pack, here's your snacks and water, and here's a couple donuts for the bear bait. Like, get your ass walking up this canyon. And it's not easy. Like, I have buddies that come up and they'll come hunt 1 or 2 days and I'm like, oh, I'm good. Like, I got stuff I got to take care of at home, because like, it's straight the fuck up. Like, you are on your hands and knees climbing up, and it's not for the faint of heart. So, it's fun, but like that to answer your question, it's definitely my kids that drive me to stay in the outdoors, and I really enjoy it. It's fun. It's just fun watching them, like it's you, like it's you in that, like that's all their knowledge. And my oldest is teaching my little one things, and I just sit back and I'm just like, fuck yeah. Like, it's happening, like that's everything I care about right there. She's passing on the knowledge, and that's all I want.
So badass.
Hell yeah. Greatly appreciate that. I mean, you can't really say it much better than that, is pass it on to the next generation, and especially sitting and watching them pass it on.
It's just so much fun. And I think like, I really want to start doing a lot more with kids and taking kids out. And so that's why we're trying to work on some places right now, just to bring out fathers of vets that have kids, so we can teach both of them. So it's a generational thing. Like, I want that dad to be like, do you remember when we had to do this? Or the kid like, no, Dad, we got to do it this way. Like, that's what I want to create. And so we're really working hard for that, because man, kids are just they're just little sponges. And I don't know what it is about kids. They don't get hardly cold. I mean, I'll be freezing on the mountain, and my kids are running around in damn shorts and flip flops.
Yep.
And they just go forever. They don't quit. Like, at least my girl, I'll be smoked, drenched, pouring sweat, and they're just like, all right, we're ready. And I'm just like, shut up. Like, sit down and shut up. We're taking a break, And they don't eat. They hardly drink anything on the mountain. They just go all day. And so I really enjoy hunting with kids, especially when they get to kill something for the first time. I've taken a couple of kids out for their first bear, and just watching a kid like walk up on a bear, and they're just like, what is this? Like, there's no way I just killed a bear. So it's fun, So if I can do that with vets and kids, like it'll mean a lot. And so we'll be able to, I'm all about the next generation, man. We just got to get more kids out there and having fun.
Outstanding. Well, Bam, thanks for giving us your time tonight. I know you had a lot going on, so
it was a busy day.
We appreciate you using us as an excuse to get out of it.
Yeah, right.
Always happy to help.
Yeah, anytime.
And if you ever have anything come up, let us know. Give us a shout. We'll be happy.
Same, man. Absolutely. Same. You guys, you ever need to get away, want to get out with the boys, let me know. We'll get you out. It's a good time. So,
yeah, greatly appreciate it. Always a good time. And for everybody out there listening, man, follow along. Get on their stuff and give them a little bit of support, because as you can hear, every little bit of support goes a long ways. And until then, we just want to thank you guys for taking the ride right here on the Outdoor Drive.